And when it comes to organized stalking, gang stalking, over the years, I've heard many different perspectives, watched many videos, different comments on different platforms as well. And I always try to keep in mind that there are so many complexities about organized stalking and gang stalking that, you know, I don't believe it's ever one thing or one reason or one motivation. Now, what I could say is that I think it's obviously a battle in this world between good and evil, and that's become more apparent with a lot of things that are hitting the mainstream media, and a lot of the disclosure that's been coming out on a collective level. But even then, it's directed exposure, with the whole files things coming out. And I feel like they purposely released those files, and all these other directed events that are happening. But what I want to say is that, like I said, the point I'm at now is that, I don't believe it's ever one thing. And you got TIs that'll really get intricate with it, and you have TIs that'll really, try to break it down in a sophisticated manner, and, go on the conscious route of explaining organized stalking or gang stalking, and really try to piece it together on that level. And then you have the TIs saying, well, it's all spiritual, it's solely spiritual. And then you'll have some TIs saying, well, it's the government, it's the FISA 702, it's the watch list. And then there'll be different TIs saying, well, this is how it's always been. The world is a simulation. It's all fake anyways, like the Truman Show. And, I'm not saying I disagree with any of those points, but the point I'm at now, I feel like I just, I acknowledge it all. And, I don't think it's one reason or there's one motivation behind why targeted individuals experience these things. But I think for certain that a lot of our reasonings are different. Some people, you got those people who will, claim that they're a chosen one, or this is why they're doing this to you. But who knows, maybe they want you to think that. And then you have certain TIs that'll speak about how, this is a revenge for hire plot on their lives. All of these things are plausible. But at the same time, I'm really just at that point where I'm not too worried about who, why, and how it started. Because regardless, when you're a TI, you really got to adjust. You really got to find your route. You really have to maneuver through this matrix, and it's a lot of vices in this world. It's a lot of evil in this world. It's a lot of, being a TI will show you the truth about society in this world. I don't think nobody in this world sees this society and this matrix and this system through a more clear lens than a targeted individual. Because when you're a TI, you'll see how quick people will flip on you. You'll see how people you've thought, just because you're blood relatives, people's own parents, people's own children, people's own brothers, sisters, that really does something to you. That changes a person when you see that the people that are supposed to be there, the people you're supposed to count on, could join up based on lies and defamation and smear campaigns, with a bunch of strangers, with a bunch of people who just all decided to basically mob up against your life and your foundation and your livelihood. So, like I said, I think nobody sees this world as clear as TIs do. That's just me, though. That's just my opinion. This is just really a general thought I was having. And yeah, it shows you a lot. It shows you a lot about the workplace. It shows you a lot about societal norms and how people act and the group think, hive mentality. Anywhere, the workplace, when you're just out and about, among narcissistic family units. That it shows you the hierarchy within society, which really it's all bullshit. When you look at society in this world, like I said, it's a fake world. It truly is, because everybody's playing dress up, everybody's playing make believe, and I could say that the only real thing here is your essence, your soul, your connection to the Most High, your connection to the unseen, your connection to the realms and the spiritual nature of life, where all physical things root from. At least that's my perspective that I see this world. And if anything, that's more realer than a lot of this fake ass world here. And so what truly does matter is what I find myself asking when it comes to this material world and the things that, we slave away for in this world. And, you learn to acquire so much in this life just to give it all back when you have to leave at the end. So all I could say is that, if you're a TI, try your best to find your inner peace, within. And if you have faith, keep it as much as possible. And that's just my advice, Everybody can only give advice from their own perspectives, but I won't say that I'm the most targeted, I won't say that I get it the worst. I'm thankful I'm not in a big city like New York or like, these, those type of environments. And to the TIs out there, they're lasting in those type of environments, and that's even bigger psychological fight right there. So yeah, it's a lot of perspectives, like I said, and I don't think not one person has all the answers, but all I can do is just maneuver through this system, maneuver through this world stage, because that's all this place is anyways.